Lucky 7 turtle coasters. Say that 10 times fast. As you can see right behind me, I have 3 of my coasters pinned to the dress dummy. Also, we've got them right here as well. They're very easy to make. And the backs of them are super clean, because personally I hate when crochet looks good on one side and then the other side it looks pretty messy. That's not what makes me happy, but these are clean and they're easy to keep that way. Now these coasters are so fun, but they're really simple and they'll match just about any decor of any turtle lover. I've used 100% cotton. Now I particularly like cotton for things like coasters. They're very absorbent, they wear very well. They're not going to scratch any soft wood you might have them on. And these are just cute. They're cute without being overly childish or overly animated. They're nice and they're subtle. They work up quick. If you're a fast crocheter, you can do a whole set of them in an evening. If you're a little slower at this, maybe a couple of evenings. They make a great gift. They look very nice around your house. So for this particular project, the cotton that I used is Carron's cake. This is their cotton ripple cake. And this is their, oh, I don't even know what the name is, the summer rain color. It sort of has these subtle blues and greens and whites in them. It sort of reminds me of kind of an overcast day at the beach. Doesn't take very much, as you can see. This is how much I've used in the actual cake itself, and I made 5 coasters. Now that particular cotton I used on the shell, as you can see. Also, I trimmed that out with complementary color, which is this blue right here. And this is the Patons Grace brand. And this is just their navy. Now, like the ripple cotton, this is a weight 3. And while the ripple cotton is pretty much straight cotton, the Patons Grace is actually a mercerized cotton. So it's going to be a little shimmerier, but that's fine because it adds that nice little slight little bit of embellishment to your coaster without being over the top. Also, for the body, I used Patons Grace, but this time I used this light green. They call it a ginger. I don't know that I would call it ginger, but they call it ginger, so it's ginger. This is also mercerized cotton. And I use this for the head and the legs and the tail. And these 3 cottons work very well together. In addition, the size hook that I used is going to be a 6.5 hook. It's a 3.75 millimeter for those of you who work in millimeters. It's a smallish hook, not lace size hook, but just a smaller hook. And I believe it's smaller than they would have even recommended on the cotton package. But for this particular project, I wanted the stitches to be just that little bit tighter. And of course, you're going to need a pair of scissors and then also a tapestry needle. And really the tapestry needle needs to be sharpish, and it needs to have an eye that's just big enough for your yarn to fit through. Next, eyes. Now this turtle doesn't need eyes. It's quite cute without the eyes, but if you would like to have eyes, all you need to do is buy these. They're just little tiny buttons. I think they're like buttons that you'd put on doll clothes. I'm not entirely sure, but I purchased these at Joann's. So I'm not even sure what millimeter they are, but really this is going to be up to you. If you want eyes, it's easy enough to do. I used the little buttons, these little plastic buttons. You can certainly use a smaller millimeter bead, or you can just simply embroider French knots if you like. It really is up to you what you have available, what you like best. how much additional embellishment you want to add to your coaster. Here at Essential Crochet with me, Sig, it's my goal to give you crochet that will make you excited, that'll make you feel proud to wear and happy to gift. I'm also going to throw in some yarn talk from time to time. So at the time of this video, I am currently in the process of making a 3-part video series of my end of year yarn haul. It's also my goal to learn and share new crochet techniques. But most of all, it's my mission for all of us to create beautiful stuff together. So if you like what you see so far, go ahead and hit the subscribe bar, notification bell, and like buttons. It helps me out tremendously, and it helps you know that you did a great deed for the day. What can I say? So for this, I'm going to begin with a magic ring. And in the magic ring, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and then 3. Now this chain 3 is going to stand in for my first double crochet. And then after that, I'm going to make a double crochet. Then I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm going to make 2 double crochets. Chain 1. And I'm going to make 2 double crochets again. Chain 1, 2 double crochets. So far I have 4 2 double crochet clusters separated by a chain 1, and I want 3 more. So I'm going to have a total of 7 of the chain, or rather double crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 1 combinations. That's going to be 5, 6, and then 7. My last chain. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join. So I'm going to slip stitch right into the 3rd chain of that first 3 chain stitch. And then I'm going to fasten off. So now I'm switching over to my Carron cake, the ripple cake. I believe this is a, what is it called? The colorway is Summer Rain. I don't think I mentioned that before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this into any chain 1 space. And then I'm going to chain 3. The 1, 2, 3. That will act as my first double crochet. Then I'm going to double crochet in the same space. I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to place 2 more double crochets into that same 1 chain space. So it should look like this. So I'm going to do this 6 more times. I'm going to double crochet twice into the next chain 1 space. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to double crochet 2 more times in that same space. I'm going to continue just like this. So I'm going to do this 5 more times. So now that I've completed round 2, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain of the first 3 chain stitch of round 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch in the next stitch over, the next double crochet, and then I'm going to slip stitch right into that chain 2 space. Then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make 6 double crochets in this chain 2 space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if we're going to include this chain 3, that gives us 7 stitches. So again, in my next chain 2 space, I'm going to double crochet 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to do this 5 more times all the way around. And when I come all the way around, again, I'm going to join into that 3rd chain of the first 3 chain stitch that we made for round 3. And then we're going to fasten off this particular color. So now your piece should look something like this. I'm going to bring in my next color, which is this navy blue again. And then I'm going to begin on the first double crochet of a cluster. So I'll just go ahead and tie in here. And then with this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet in that same stitch. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double crochet over rounds 3 and rounds 2. So for those of you who don't know how I'm going to do that is I'm simply going to yarn over. I'm going to insert my hook here into the bottom of round 2. I'm going to get some yarn and pull it through. So now I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to follow through like I normally would with a standard double crochet. And you should have something that looks just like this. And next I'm going to single crochet 7. So 1, and 2, again, I'm going to double crochet right over rounds 2 and 3. And then I'm going to single crochet 7 again. I'm going to continue doing just this all the way around. So now that I've completed round 4, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join into that first chain with a slip stitch. And now from here, I'm going to move on to round 5. And for round 5, I'm going to make a chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet front loop only, each stitch all the way around. So for those of you who don't know what I mean when I say front loop only, I mean just this front loop from the 2 top loops that you see, only single crochet in this front one right here. So I'm going to continue all the way around my shell, single crochets, front loop only. So now once I've completed the entire round, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join, and then I'm going to fasten off. So now the next thing I want to work on are the feet and the head. Now the feet are the legs. You're going to want to make 4 of them for each coaster. And they're very simple. I'm going to begin with a slip knot. And this, of course, is going to be in the color that you've chosen. I've chosen this green color, or ginger rather, and you will use whatever color you are using for the body of your turtle. So next I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Next I'm going to single crochet 3 more. So 1, 2, and 3. Now in the last chain of this length of chains, I'm going to single crochet 3 into that last chain. So 1, 2, and 3. And of course, this brings us around to the other side of our chain. And from here, we're going to work in the free loops. For those of you who don't know, the free loop is basically the other side of the chain. Now in the free loop, in the next free loop, I'm going to single crochet. And then I'm going to do a second single crochet. And then I'm going to do a third single crochet in those free loops along the back end. Now, for that very first single crochet that we did right here, in that stitch, in that part of the chain, I want to make 2 more single crochets together. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fasten off. But with this, I want to leave a tail long enough for sewing. So now that I have my 4 legs completed and my shell, I'm going to make my head. And for the head, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a magic ring. I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm going to single crochet 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to tighten my ring. And then I'm going to join with a slip stitch. Next I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. And then I'm going to half double crochet 2 in that same stitch. So 1 half double crochet, and then my second half double crochet right there in that same stitch. And then I want to do this 5 more times. So that's going to give me a total of 12 half double crochets. 2 half double crochets in each of the 6 stitches. And once I've completed my round 2 of the head, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to join. I'm going to fasten off, and I'm going to leave a tail long enough for sewing. So next I'm going to sew on my pieces. And so the positioning of this is going to be, I'm going to place my head right there between 2 petals. I'm going to place one leg right here between these 2 petals, and one leg right here between these 2 petals. And then my back 2 legs are going to sit right here in the middle of these 2 petals, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew my pieces in kind of a specific way. So let's push these aside for the moment. Now I want, of course, the right sides facing up. And I'm going to sew my piece right onto that back loop. So I'm just going to basically whip stitch a couple of those stitches right onto the back loop. You see, and then I'm going to weave what's left of my yarn into the back of my piece. So you can see how it's kind of tacked on in there, just right there onto the back loops. And I'm going to continue to do so on just like that with all the other pieces in their appropriate places. Now once you have your pieces positioned and sewn on, I'm going to move on to the next step. Still using the green, I'm going to turn my piece around to the position of where the tail is going to be. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these 7 double crochets, and then the 4th double crochet, the one that sits right in the middle, is about where I'm going to place my tail. I'm going to tie my green in there. In that back loop. Sorry, I don't think I mentioned that, in the back loop. Then I'm going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next, I'm going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. And then I'm going to do that 3 more times in the next 3 stitches. So 2, and then 3. Brings me right back down to the shell. And then what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to single crochet in each of the back loops. So between the tail and the foot there on the shell, I'm going to single crochet in each stitch. And as I do that, all these ends you see, I'm just going to crochet them right in. So I'm just going to kind of weave as I go along those extra little hangy pieces, and then I'll cut them, any extra pieces that might be sticking out. So that brings me here to the foot. And now when I hit the foot, I'm going to go to this very first stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slip stitch right in there. And then I'm going to slip stitch in each stitch all the way around the foot. And then when I get back to the shell, I'm going to begin my single crochet again. So you can see along the shell, I'm going to single crochet in the back loop. When you hit a foot or the head, I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch around that. And then we'll pick up again on the shell in the back loops only for the single crochet until we hit the next appendage, and then going to slip stitch all the way around. And continue that way all the way back around to the tail. And then when we hit the tail, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch up this side of the tail because, well, the tail is an appendage, right? So we're going to come up here to the tip of the tail, and then we're going to fasten off. And after that, we'll have one more step to do. So now we have one more step. And the final step is going to be where we single crochet the edge of the shell with the edge of the body. Now this is what's going to allow some stability to your piece and also allow it to lay flat on its own so you don't have anything curling up. This is going to add that little extra bit of professionalism to it, of stability, of that nice clean finish. So really, you're going to just start wherever you want to. I like to kind of start down here more by the tail. And as before, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie in. And then I'm going to begin to chain one. And I'm going to single crochet in that same space, in that same stitch. Then I'm going to single crochet in each of the stitches after that. So they line up pretty well, and I'm just going to sandwich the two sides together, and I'm going to go ahead and then, of course, continue to single crochet them together. And I'm traveling along the shell. And then when I get to an appendage, I'm going to do things just a little differently. Okay, so now that I'm at the tail, I'm just going to skip right over the tail, and I'm going to single crochet in those stitches that lay right over the top of the appendage, but don't necessarily have a corresponding stitch on the other side of it. So I've done that, as you can see here, and then in the next stitch, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to stitch the shell and the body together. And all this with a single crochet. Now once you've completed crocheting your final round of the shell to the body of your turtle, this is the super cute little coaster you end up with. Now if you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed yet,
but would like to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, if you're already subscribed, let me give you a warm thank you for helping to support my channel. Next, and most importantly, please go out and have yourself a fantastic weekend. Until next time, bye-bye now.